Hey guys, we're Krabby Critics, and today we're going to be reviewing Avengers Infinity War. Marvel's Avengers Infinity War is about Thanos, who is going after the Infinity Stones. We first saw Thanos in the first Avengers movie, and we've seen him throughout the other movies, but this is more centered around him as the main villain. And in this movie, he goes on a quest to get all of the Infinity Stones, which there are 6 of them: soul, mind, reality, space, and time. Oh, and 6. and
Soul.
I already said soul.
Oh.
And power.
Power. That's right. So we don't have too many thoughts on this movie that aren't spoilers, so we'll go ahead and give our basic rating and a couple non-spoiler thoughts about the movie real quick, and then we'll get into the spoilers. What are some non-spoiler thoughts that you had about the movie, Austin?
I think that the Thanos, like this version, like the first on-screen version of Thanos that we actually legitimately saw, was a really good on-screen villain. Probably my favorite in the MCU. If I see something better, then there you go. But I mean, Thanos is pretty much like the best on-screen villain I've seen so far in the MCU. And I think Josh Brolin did really good playing him. I think all the acting was really good. Tom Holland was redeeming in this movie compared to like Homecoming, which I thought wasn't really that great, but compared to like this movie, like Tom Holland's Spider-Man's actually looking like it's starting to look up, like he's actually starting to feel more like Spider-Man in the Spider-Mans that I've actually seen. Should I give my rating? Should I like just give the thoughts and then give my rating afterwards?
That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Overall, the fight scenes were really cool. There's a specific scene that I will discuss in the spoiler section, but it was really, really intense and actually a really good fight scene. Probably the best one I've seen in the MCU. There's been a lot of good ones, but this one definitely takes the cake for me. But the movie is long, which is, expected. It's about all the Avengers fighting Thanos, so you got to kind of catch up with them, and you have to kind of be with every character to kind of figure it out and everything. But yeah, it was overall pretty good. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
High rating.
What about you, Levi?
I'm with you pretty much on everything you just said. I don't really have a lot to talk about, but I think that I really liked Thanos. I think he was the best part of the movie. But I'd have to I'm just going to cut it short. I'm probably going to give my rating at probably like a 7.8. So I'd probably give it out of 10. So what do you think?
Well, my favorite part of the movie, other than Thanos, which was, this was essentially like a Thanos standalone movie, almost. Like if Thanos was one of the Avengers, like this would be his standalone movie. But my favorite part of it was, in terms of characters, was actually Thor. Just because I've seen Thor's progression throughout the MCU, and like in this movie, he hits his peak. He was great in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But this is just an extension of that. Other than my favorite characters, because everybody's gonna have favorite Avenger characters in this movie, because there are a lot of them. Overall, my rating on the movie, and I saw this movie twice. I thought it got better the second time, once I kind of accepted the movie with the knowledge of movies that are coming in the future. Once I kind of just accepted everything in the movie, just how it was, it did get better for me. But for my rating on the movie overall, a 7 being kind of an average. I'd say it's an above average for an Avengers movie, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I didn't think it was amazing. I wasn't super immersed in the movie. I was a little bit the second time watching it, just after I accepted everything, and there weren't people like randomly laughing in the theater at scenes that probably shouldn't be laughed at, which we will discuss later. But yeah, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was 5 hours of my life, but it was well spent.
Cool. So I definitely was a big fan of it. I really, really liked it. There was a couple things that do stand out to me that I didn't really like, but those are pretty spoiler oriented. Mainly was the mistreatment of a particular character, which I think that just the MCU has been doing just really bad with in the whole thing, like all the past movies and whatnot. But I'll talk about that in spoilers. And then I guess the whole movie, any negatives about it is you kind of need to have at least some info on the comic books to truly appreciate it. Otherwise, I feel like you might be a little just kind of like
A little lost.
yeah, a little lost, a little confused. Like, okay, especially with the way it kind of ends.
Yeah.
And with the way it ended, it would have been fine. And there's just the way they kind of did it. It's definitely like I need to learn more things because I'm very confused. For somebody who knows like absolutely nothing about these other than the movies, like say somebody for some reason somehow does not know that these are comic books, they'll watch the movies and I feel like there'd be a lot of confusion because you're not even sure what happens, I feel like, unless you know a couple comic book things. So I'd say that that's kind of a downer for it, is it's almost depending on its audience knowing the source material, which isn't a big, huge issue, but it could be.
Yeah, it helps that like most of the media is like discussing this stuff and like bringing in info from comics and stuff like that. And I feel like that's why the general public knows a little bit more than they would have just seeing the movies.
Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, it does also make people get more interested in the comics, and they want people to be interested in the comics. So who knows? Maybe that's their plan. But yeah, I have seen a lot of people complain that it's, as far as like just a movie, it doesn't work, and you need to see all the other movies and whatnot, and they have a problem with that. But it's like, well, it's a sequel to like 10 movies, so I would think that you need to see the other movies, especially because this is a culmination of just all this stuff finally adding up. And if you put the effort into it to make it be able to stand on its own, it would have been a huge waste of time, because that means they need to reaffirm certain information that they already did in other movies. And if they took the time to do that to satisfy the people that are like, oh, it needs to stand on its own, then it's going to just be another boring Marvel movie
With a lot of setup.
with just more setup. The whole other movies have all been set up for this movie, so it does not need any more setup. I do understand the complaint that it can't really stand on its own, but it's not supposed to stand on its own.
Yeah.
But I did really like it. There's a couple things that were a little off. A couple things that I've not liked about Marvel movies, being every single character is a comedic character, and every single character makes jokes. I think they kind of fixed that with this one. There was your particular characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy, or like those certain characters that are known for being funny. They kept those ones making the jokes, and everybody else, for the most part, didn't make any jokes. And I really appreciated that. I feel like they actually kind of learned.
They were as serious as they could be, because they had to have little rebuttal jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah, they can't make it too incredibly dark. But as far as like just like jokes, they kept it with the right characters. Other than a different character, which we'll talk about because they just completely crap on this character. But it was good. I liked it. I think Thanos is great. He's like, if people watch The Walking Dead, he is the Negan of the Marvel Universe, pretty much. I'm a big fan of him. Honestly, I'm Team Thanos. All the Avengers can die. I like Thanos. But I'll probably go for an 8.8 for my rating.
So that was our non-spoiler review. We're going to dive into the spoiler part, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, click off now. But yeah,
Go watch
you've been
some
warned.
videos.
Yeah, you've been warned. But yeah, so I'll kick it off. Piggybacking off of since we're getting into kind of a discussion at this point, piggybacking off of the CGI, there was a part where he is standing there and he takes the collector and he throws him, and it is pretty weird CGI effects. It's not quite right.
Well, technically, the defense of that is that was all in the reality.
Yeah, but
stone.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was.
So
that's
maybe
not
the
what
reality
it was, so.
stone has shitty CGI.
Either way,
The reality
it was an odd
reality
part.
shows a bunch of
It wasn't
producers.
it wasn't completely like nailing the coffin. Like, this is a terrible movie. Like, that's not like that part of the movie was just like, oh, okay, that was odd, but it wasn't really that big of a deal. What was the CGI part the same as? Or was
Well,
there
I
another
was
part?
saying like overall, like the CGI
Overall, okay.
wasn't like.
It wasn't like
amazing.
fantastic, but
It
was
wasn't
good
fantastic,
for
but
what
it
it
was, I think, a step above what the CGI has been, especially like
in Black Panther?
Civil War. That
Oh
stands
yeah,
out
that
as-
was awful.
Yeah, certain
The
parts in
final
Black
battle scene.
Panther,
No god.
certain
yeah,
parts
that
in
was-
Homecoming, like
Yeah,
a lot of the
of course.
Marvel movies recently, the CGI is
Well, because everything's CGI at this point. I think like my
Yeah.
favorite CGI, like anything like for like Marvel, would probably be like Deadpool. Really good CGI in that movie.
Yeah,
I mean, like
guess.
Robert Downey Jr. is literally just like a floating head in these movies now on Iron
Pretty
Man's
much.
Yeah,
body.
pretty much. Yeah.
And he looks like it too.
Like if you look close enough, you can see the seam with his neck like shifting back and forth.
Yeah. I was
I
just
mean, you've seen it
definitely-
twice, so you know.
I was
Yeah.
impressed with how much Josh Brolin I actually saw come
Yeah.
out of Thanos, or I was expecting just to. I'm this stiff purple dude.
Yeah.
Brr,
He
but then
actually, like,
he's actually able to move
He was able to
around
explain, and
Yeah.
he was able to like actually, he
and
was
have the
able
facial
to-
expressions and
Yeah.
everything.
He was able to pace back and forth.
You guys
and
remember?
plans.
You guys remember Ben Swallow, the wide boy?
Yes,
The meme.
That was Thanos.
kind of.
He was wide.
I wouldn't 100% agree, but Thanos was definitely a wide boy.
Yeah. As far as like just to go for the things that we mentioned that we would get into, the character that I am actually super pissed off about with the MCU is the Hulk.
Yeah, I knew it.
They just shit on his character every single movie. Hulk has been one of
Avengers
my
1.
Yeah, it was ever since Mark Ruffalo took over. Honestly,
Well,
Mark
Avengers 1,
Ruffalo
he had a crazy where he was like jumping on.
Yeah, he was
buildings
good in
and
Avengers 1.
And then he beat the shit out
And-
of Loki or whatever.
and like
That was good.
I really liked Edward Norton.
Mhm.
He didn't
I
necessarily
agree.
fit as the Hulk, but it was fine.
Who was
I
the
really
Hulk
like Edward Norton.
before that? Before
The-
That was
Endgame?
Brock Lesnar.
The Incredible Hulk technically is part of it.
I'm not even
because that
kidding.
was
Brock
the beginning.
Lesnar played a Hulk.
No, no, no.
Lesnar
I
was
meant
not
before
Brock
that.
Dude, Google it right
Which
now.
one
I
are you
swear to
talking
God,
about?
Brock Lesnar was a Hulk.
No, he
That's
was
fine.
not. It was probably Lou Ferrigno. I think that's what you're talking
Okay,
about.
that's okay. No,
Looking
the
at
original Hulk.
IMDb.
not the
over
very
there.
original. No, no, no.
Or is-
No, but I would say Edward Norton played a really good Hulk, but I think that when you're trying to shift from Edward Norton's Hulk to Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in the first Avenger, it's kind of weird.
Here's the thing. I think Mark Ruffalo fits
Yeah,
as
okay.
Eric
I
Bana.
might be wrong.
Not Eric Bana. Eric Bana is the actor that played him. Fits as Bruce Banner more than
Okay.
Edward Norton.
Just look
I
up
just
live
really like,
action Hulk movies.
Edward Norton. You guys should shut up while you're doing this. But the Incredible Hulk, that version of Hulk, I think was actually super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the CGI was really good.
Oh, yeah.
And then they swapped over to Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and it was like, okay, Mark Ruffalo does have the look.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo is a good actor, and he did a good job. But then his Hulk does not look good.
No. I think his Hulk looks good now.
looks
did
good
not
now.
look good
Yeah,
back
in the,
then.
in
It
the
looked
first
so weird.
Avengers, the Hulk as a character was fine, but as the way he looked was terrible.
Yeah, no, he looked awful.
And
I think this is the right
and just because, like, you literally saw all the definition of his muscles and tendons and everything, you literally look at him and he looked angry.
one. Okay, it is
In
Lou Ferrigno.
the
It's
Edward
Lou
Norton
Ferrigno.
Incredible
That I
Hulk.
did get it fucked up. You're right. You're right.
I'm talking about
Just
I
the
was talking
original
about the 2003 Hulk before MCU.
Yeah, that
Which
one.
is the Eric
that's
Bana.
yeah.
Yeah, that's Eric Bana.
Never mind. Yeah.
So,
Which is
yeah,
an
you
awful
guys
movie,
just
but
wasted
we'll
your time.
move on
But
from
anyway,
You can talk about anything important anyway. So, you guys like Thanos? Huh?
we're still talking
Yeah,
about this.
I can tell.
You should shut the fuck up.
Which
Maybe I
Infinity
just
Stone is your
discuss this.
favorite?
I think the Hulk was terrible in this movie.
No, I
He
think
was. He got shit on
Okay.
by Thanos, and that would probably not happen. As far as
Well, in the
It-
comic books, it's him being a little pussy.
yeah, but at the same time,
Like, that
when
doesn't
he's
happen
being
with Thanos.
defeated-
It happens with some dude who eats planets. So it actually makes more sense for the Hulk to be scared.
Galactus?
Yes. The Hulk gets scared of him, but not Thanos, and they made it so it's Thanos.
yeah, which
And
is
I just thought it
ridiculous.
was really weird for him to all of a sudden be scared of Thanos when, like, his little battle he had with Thanos. He lost,
Yeah, but he still
but
tried.
we've seen him go through worse
Yeah.
in the same, like, other movies and whatnot. And
Yeah,
all of a
definitely.
sudden he's just like, oh, I'm
Like
scared.
Hulkbuster, for example.
And it was just really weird because
And really, in that opening
It
scene, he wasn't even
made-
that menacing.
Yeah.
So it was like, why was he
it
so?
made me feel so weird that Bruce Banner trying to turn into the Hulk was just one big erectile dysfunction joke.
I was gonna say.
And it just made me feel so awkward watching it. But
Can't get it up.
as far as like what MCU has been doing to the Hulk is not a comedic character. He's not at all. He should be the most depressing character who doesn't make any jokes, and he makes the most jokes now.
Yeah, the new movie made a lot of jokes.
Bruce Banner is just constantly just like, oh, I'm so goofy. Like, why is Bruce Banner goofy? He has anger issues, and he turns into a big monster when he's angry. But he's goofy all the time, and he doesn't actually seem like he has any anger issues at all. And it's just really weird. And it just makes me so
He's
mad.
like just
because I
he's
think
kind of like an
misused.
awkward uncle.
the thing that makes me mad is I think Bruce Banner and the Hulk have so much more potential for character development than any single other character in the MCU.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything with him at all.
You're not wrong, I don't think.
And then they put him in the Hulkbuster, and he's just like, yeah, this thing beat Hulk while he's running around. It's like, okay. For me, that was the biggest negative of the movie.
I think that might
just
change
because-
if
but,
they
like,
end
just
up
not
doing
probably.
a standalone with Mark Ruffalo.
I don't know
they're
if they
not going
ever
to.
will.
I think they
It's-
said they aren't going to.
Which makes me kind of mad
They said
because
that
I
like
think he
years ago, I
deserves
think.
it.
He does deserve it, but I don't think they're going to. And I feel like even if they were going to, it's too late at this
I
point.
feel like at that
Yeah,
point
that's
it's
true.
because the Ed Norton Hulk is they've already explained pretty much the backstory
Yeah.
technically on it.
That was
because-
his.
Very
that's,
underrated
that's
movie,
canon, so
A lot of people hate that movie. I think it's really good.
I think it's good. I like it.
So
The
it's not
Abomination,
the best movie ever, but I
Yeah.
still really like it.
No, it's
But,
better than a lot of the MCU movies
Mhm.
we've gotten. So
Yeah. But yeah, that's my biggest complaint for it, and it just kind of irks me.
There's one scene that, like, on my first viewing, I told you guys a little bit about this, that I couldn't take seriously. My first viewing is that's when do you remember the planet that Thanos
Titan.
no, not Titan, but
Gamora's planet.
that Gamora takes him to get the Soul Stone.
The one with the Red
yeah,
Skull where
yep.
he shows up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
That was kind of cool that Red
I
Skull
like that.
showed up.
I
I
like
really
Yeah,
like that.
different actor for him.
Oh, that
it
wasn't
this
was-
one.
That wasn't Vigo.
that's not Viggo Mortensen. That was Hugo Weaving was the original.
Hugo
Red
Weaving.
Skull.
That's right. I always mix up the names.
He's the one character. He's from Walking Dead. What's his name? The gay guy.
Aaron.
Russ
Aaron.
McQuarrie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
one of those.
Russ. What?
Russ
Oh, that was
McQuarrie.
him.
Yeah, Russ
Mhm.
McQuarrie was Red Skull.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
They
Learning things on Krabby.
His voice is a little bit different, besides
Go
just
on.
the new accent. Like, his voice is a little bit different.
Yeah, he
So-
did a good job
Yeah,
kind of
he did.
mimicking.
I didn't
him.
notice
Yeah.
that the first time. I
I
had,
really had no idea. I legit thought it was him. Okay.
but anyway, during
Pretty
that
menacing.
scene when Thanos realizes
Pretend that I
that
didn't knock over a box.
It's fine.
during that scene when Thanos realizes that, or I guess Gamora realizes that she's gonna have to be thrown off of this this pyre for a sacrifice. I think it's just because like I blinked at the wrong time, or the guys like above me in the theater like laughed like right when it happened. But when he chucked her off the edge there like a rag doll, like I just couldn't hold it in. I just laughed, and it's like this is supposed to be a very emotional moment where he kills his freaking daughter, but it just like the CGI.
I have some predictions to the next movie that I will get into. Unless I can get into it now. I can talk about it now.
If you want to.
All right, so this is how I think it's gonna go. There's a part in one of the comics where Tony Stark is an alcoholic and he's stumbling through town, and he's basically drinking. And someone shows
How
up.
does
and
he have
someone-
alcohol?
Okay,
and
okay,
he's on a
just listen.
Titan, which
Just
is a destroyed
listen.
planet.
Just listen. He gets back to Earth.
He's nano
This is like years
technology,
later,
so
right?
alcohol.
This is years later, right? He's back on Earth, and he's turned to alcoholics because all of his friends just died. Like everything just happened. He's just given up at this point because he lost essentially, right? There is a part in the comics where he is an alcoholic, which would be kind of, and it's like actually a big part in the comics where he finally sobers up and defeats the enemy or whatever. But that would be really cool to start it off like that if they're all back on Earth and it's like the near future.
Well, I could see him being the one that takes it almost the hardest because he loses Peter, and then
Yeah, he feels responsible.
He always-
well, and then he
Yeah.
also feels responsible because he was going to die, but then Doctor Strange is like, no, we're gonna.
And he
give him
already
the
has
stone.
like PTSD from the first Avengers movie. That's
Yeah.
been like a thing
Yeah,
that's
that's
happening
true.
too.
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, I mean, it's bound to happen. I mean, I think honestly it's going to start off like that, and then it's going to progress through, and then Cap's going to show up for some shit and just like convince him, use one of his Captain America speeches, and then they're going to go and assemble the rest of the team together and try and find a way to defeat Thanos. And what I think would be extremely cool is if Iron Man got another upgrade to his armor, and his armor was forged at the Star Forge where Thor got his Dawnbreaker? What's it called?
From Peter
Ooh,
Dinklage.
yeah, if we want to talk about that, the
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, that's what it is.
The Stormbreaker. And
It's not from Skyrim.
That was a cool
it's
scene.
not Dawnbreaker
Yeah.
from Skyrim.
Yeah, that's why I totally knew it was from Skyrim.
when Thor put that Stormbreaker to work, that was awesome.
that was a cool
That
part.
was definitely
Anyway,
a highlight of the
yeah,
movie.
I think Thor will definitely have a big role in the next movie. I think it's gonna start off Tony Stark, blah, 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 and then I think he's gonna get armor forged at the Star Forge, and I think that
By
all the
Tyrion Lannister
Avengers,
himself.
yeah, it's gonna be with the dwarf, and all the Avengers are gonna be there and shit. It's just gonna be a cool moment where he gets a suit, and it's like, and he has they have a mold for the Infinity Gauntlet, so they could have his own Infinity Gauntlet, and they're gonna try and take the stones from his actual one, like steal it from him. And I think that Cap is going to die trying to get him, and Iron Man's gonna get the stones. Fucking do it.
Cool theories.
Yeah. Cool theory, bro.
Cool theories.
Cool theory,
Tell
bro.
it again.
How much of that is substantiated?
Not at all. I bet not
100%
one
of it.
thing of that is
Okay.
going to happen, honestly.
No.
Okay.
Probably
I think
not.
you're
but-
100% wrong, but I think
I mean, how else are you supposed to have an infinity? Like, if they win via getting his Infinity Gauntlet, how the fuck are they gonna fit it?
I mean,
You
I
know?
think it could
It
be as
wouldn't really
simple
fit.
as like
True,
they
yeah.
all go to the Star Forge. And
That's
they
why I
all
think
get
Tony
their-
Stark is gonna do it, or I mean, the Hulk. I mean, because he's got big enough hands, I guess.
Yeah,
But I mean, if Iron Man did it, he would
hopefully
have.
the Hulk is not. They don't spend half of the movie with.
At
Hulk
least
being
they
a
make
pussy.
another
he-
really
he needs
cool
Viagra.
giant
Mhm.
suit, like not Hulkbuster, but like Hulkbuster Mark II or some shit, where he can actually fit the gauntlet or something, or he can actually have a gauntlet.
Yeah.
And with all the metals that they create, that would be an extremely intricate process, though, to make an Iron Man suit out of the metals from there with a forge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need
I
all
just
the
think it was kind
technology.
of cool seeing Tyrion Lannister.
Oh, yeah, that was
bigger. I was
awesome.
like
Yeah.
when he popped up, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they were saying he was in.
I didn't even know he was in it. I
And
was
then he
like,
just kind of
Peter
showed up, and I was
Dinklage,
like, that's funny.
this is the first time that he's played a character where he's bigger than everybody else.
Yeah, it was
Sounds
kind of
awesome.
cool. It was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Matter.
Yeah, at this point, I feel
As
like
far okay, here's a legit thing. People are like, oh, this is so ballsy and whatnot. Whereas we know that none of these characters are dead.
Oh,
we
yeah.
know that they're all going to come back. The only ones that we're pretty sure is dead is
Vision.
Vision and Loki.
and Loki.
I think.
Loki I could see coming back. I honestly hope they don't bring him back
Yeah,
just
because
for the sake of
he's
story.
cheated death multiple times.
Yeah,
I think he needs
it'd be
to die.
really repetitive and dumb. But I could see them doing that just because everybody loves Loki. Let's
Here's
bring
like my big
Loki
issue
back.
with the movie. It's like, so I feel somewhat like emotional, like when Peter's getting taken and all that, and he's
that was
dying or whatever.
improvised, 100% improvised on Tom Holland's part, by the way.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah. Which part?
I feel
Where Peter Parker's dying, Tom Holland completely improvised that entire scene, where he's like falls into Tony Stark's arms or whatever.
Oh,
I think
100%
that's pretty good.
improvised.
I think like I feel emotion and stuff like while it's happening, and I feel bad for what's happening, but just knowing that they're not all dead, they're just like fading, and
they're
it's like they're
or
gonna
they're
bring them all
trapped
back.
in the
Yeah.
Soul Stone.
It's
or-
like you're supposed to, yeah, like you said,
You're
like it's
supposed
supposed
to
to be
feel
like
something.
ballsy and supposed to be risky or whatever. I didn't feel anything by the end of the movie, and I think that one of the big issues I have with this movie in general is I feel like, and it's not really the movie's fault, but I think the whole movie is just build up to the next Avengers movie.
I mean, yeah.
And-
But then
and that is like-
that's technically all the MCU movies. Is they're all built up.
But you're getting character development, like you're getting something out of it. This
Yeah.
was kind of like it's when people say it's Thanos' movie, it is Thanos' movie. It's like
It for
he
sure
is
is.
the core character because you learn about his backstory. But I think beyond that, it's a 2.5 hour to 3 hour movie that could have been summed up a lot quicker, just because like there's really he gets the stones and then they're all dead, but they're all going to come back. So it's like I don't know. I just feel like the whole movie's building to part 2, and I think part 2 is going to be better than this movie.
a
But
lot of people are talking about, like, oh, they killed all these characters and whatnot, and they're talking about which characters they killed, but they're glossing over the fact of one of the most important characters that they killed without actually showing it is the rock guy from Thor Ragnarok. Because they killed everybody on Thor's ship. It was just him and Loki and Hulk that
that's
were
right.
left.
He's dead.
So Rock Guy's dead, and nobody was talking about that, and
That's sad.
yeah,
He was
it's
the
super
main
sad.
point. That was like the
Super
main
funny
character
rock
of
guy.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Something on a serious note. Although that is serious.
Yeah.
Just a moment of silence.
Thoughts and prayers.
for him.
I don't really care about him, to be honest.
He does actually have a name, and some people are big fans of him. So those people who actually know his name are judging us right now for not just knowing him as Rock Guy. But it's
I don't know his
fine
name.
because he's
It is what
honestly
it
a
is.
dumb character, but he's a funny dumb character, so he's great.
His name's like Farengar. My court wizard.
Anyway,
What's up?
one thing, because this is
Big
Thanos' movie, like he
Mhm.
said. One thing I really appreciated in this is that, like, and this was like a critique that you had even with the Hulk scene and stuff like that, but just taking it like on its own, I liked how powerful they made Thanos feel.
Yeah.
Because like they showed him and he makes comments about it. It's like all that effort for a little blood,
Yeah,
that
that's
sort of
right.
thing. So he felt like the super villain, like the main boss essentially, and he feels that way. Like he feels more powerful than any other
And he
villain
is, definitely.
that's come before him, and
I mean,
they made him feel like that.
Bro doesn't even wear sleeves. He knows he's not
True.
ripped. He's
He's
just
swole.
like, look at me, get on my level, Ben Swolo. So
Fair.
yeah.
Just can't do it.
But regarding character deaths as well, is Gamora.
Yeah.
Technically,
She's in the
she's
Soul
not even dead. She's in the Soul Stone. He like I don't know.
But
did
she's
some
dead,
sort of
but
thing
she's not
through it.
gone.
Yeah, so she's not gone. She can. Come
I read
back
this thing and
easily.
it was from one of the writers that worked. That was had a big impact on like the actual screenplay of the actual film, and he was saying, or he tweeted out saying that the sooner you accept the fact that these characters that died are dead, the sooner you can move on to the next movie. Is what he said.
Yeah.
Is what he tweeted out.
So,
So at the same
yeah.
time, it's like, is that just to throw us off, or at the
it's
same
probably
time
to throw you off.
it is? But
Probably
I
to
mean,
throw you
at
off,
the same
yeah.
time, it still could be like.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
believe Gamora really is dead because you had to sacrifice
But I
a
do,
life
because
for a very powerful.
the end of the
gem.
movie, Thanos has, which was honestly like kind of confusing, especially if you don't look into it. At the very end of the movie, after like he does the snap, he gets thrown into like an outer body experience in the Soul Stone. Like his soul goes in there, and then he has a one-on-one with Gamora's soul, and like he's reflecting and everything and whatnot. So Gamora's soul is in there, so she's. Maybe her body's dead, but she's not dead. But either way, she's on the casting list for Guardians 3, so she's not dead.
It still could be a prequel though, of like some other mission that they did before Infinity War. Still,
Maybe.
Guardians
Never
3
know.
could very much so be like that.
I mean, I'd be down for that. So
One thing I don't know, because I'm not a big comic book guy. I don't know if this has any major significance, but after he snapped, his gauntlet was like
Broke. Yeah.
yeah, it
was,
was
like,
like
broken.
fried.
Yeah.
So does it like not work anymore, or is he like? is
Tell
it,
us in the
like,
comments if that's in the comics.
Like,
Because
I wonder if it's just
I
like his
definitely-
power is reduced, and then so this is their opportunity now to like.
But then
actually
again,
go
how
forward.
did he teleport
True.
with the space stone to the?
Yeah,
fucking
he did
one?
do
That's
that.
true.
I'm guessing it
So-
still works. It's just damaged.
Yeah.
It just shows the
It just
toll.
can't use the full potential of
Yeah.
all 5, which
It-
is why I
like
think they're gonna force
I
another one.
imagine he can't do another snap.
Yeah.
So and
That would make
by the
sense.
next movie he might just repair it anyway. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter
He
ultimately.
already used his kill streak.
But as far as
That's a lot of kills.
the
insane
coolest, like honestly, one of the things that really shoots this movie up there is when he does the snap. Because when Thor goes in there, he straight up just gets him right in the chest, and then his line of "You should aim for the head," like that was really cool. I honestly like I got a little bit of chills
After
for
saying
that.
like almost
and then he just-
nothing
Yeah.
by fighting off the Avengers and just taking that shit out of fucking missions.
and then
head.
he just like
the one sentence he says is "You should aim for the head."
it was honestly
fucking
so
sick.
badass.
Yeah, it was
And-
definitely intense.
Yeah. And then as far as the rest of the movie went, and everyone disappeared
Visually?
and whatnot, it just was like, okay.
Visually, my favorite scene of the movie is when he uses the gauntlet to pull a moon down.
Oh yeah,
on the
that was
Titan.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite scenes of the movie. And I watched like this thing of this guy on YouTube, and he was talking about like what it would need to actually do that, which of course it would fucking take a lot to actually do that. But yeah, it was really cool just to see how like it would actually like if this actually happened, and you were trying to pull a moon at the force it was going, it would crumple up and turn into meteors and stuff and crash on the on Titan. But yeah, it was a really cool scene because he literally, you saw in the like in the actual atmosphere, like you saw the actual moon or whatever, like a rock, because I guess Titan is a moon technically, but they took the rock, or he took the whatever, the moon or whatever, crumpled it, and it was all, you know, you saw that like through the atmosphere, like you saw that occurring in space.
Yeah, it was awesome. Doing it. That's one thing with their
which really made him seem very powerful at that point. At that point, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's one thing where like a lot of, you know, the villains are powerful in MCU, but Thanos is like so incredibly
he's
powerful.
like another level
awesome.
of powerful. Yeah, and it's cool how they translated it onto the actual movie and how they did it really well in different parts. Like he was able to beat down the Hulk. He was without all the stones.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun, which is still kind of like whatever. But
he's just like, I'm Thanos.
Yeah, the meteor scene, and then when he gets stabbed with Stormbreaker, and then, you know, of course, all of his other great scenes, like when he tricked Gamora into thinking that she actually killed Thanos, but then it was all just an illusion because he has the Reality Stone.
Wait, when he did the snap and Groot disappeared, does that mean the handle for the Stormbreaker should disappear?
Well, no, because that's severed.
I mean,
that's not a person.
I mean, yeah, but still technically, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's
I don't think
part
about
of his
it.
body.
Honestly,
so.
like I said, I saw this movie at like 2 a.m. if not later. So, and I've only seen it one time.
Yeah,
What did you have to say, Brett?
One thing I was gonna say is that there was kind of a dynamic going through the whole movie, where like every time he gets this new stone and stuff like that, he becomes more and more powerful, and he's able to just like kind of like brush people off, and eventually like he gets all the stones, and then he's just walking through the Avengers, and he's just totally brushing people off. But like during like some of the earlier fight scenes and stuff like that,
like when they're trying to get the gauntlet off of him.
yeah, when they try and get the gauntlet off of him, it felt more natural, because you'd think like with all the power that he had, like even with a couple of the stones, you'd think he could just like totally decimate everybody.
Especially with the Reality Stone, you can make any reality whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, but like they made it more believable that he was getting like a little bit of his ass handed to him, because there were so many Avengers in the mix,
which is
so many characters.
There was like no music the entire scene. It was
just,
like,
that was
an
awesome.
ass kicking.
So they're able to just distract.
And then
enough.
Star-Lord had to fuck it all up.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
What the fuck ever.
I mean, I did appreciate that emotional connection
I thought it's an overplayed emotional
honestly, if
thing
anything's wrong with
you did this to someone, I'm so angry, I'm gonna fuck it up.
If anything's wrong with it, why would he shoot him in the face?
That's what I was thinking, though. Why wouldn't he just be like...
That, and that scene was exactly the same scene as Guardians 2. Yeah. When he's just like, too bad I had to put the tumor in your mom's head. And he's like, what? And then he just starts shooting him. It was like, too bad I had to kill Gamora. What? And he starts punching him.
Yeah.
Like...
ridiculous.
It was kind of weird how they did that, but I mean,
I guess it kind of makes sense for his character.
In the moment of first seeing it, I was like, "Ooh, damn, this is cool." But then, like after thinking about it, it's like, could have done.
Yeah, when you see it the second time, you definitely see how much of a fuck up that was, because that was a very big fuck up. And
if like, I do feel like they could have, I don't know, done something that made a little bit more sense, rather than just him punching him in the face. Like maybe that's the only thing. Even if he just tried to shoot him in the face.
The thing that pisses me off so bad is the fact that Spider-Man got it off. And he was...
Yeah, and then
he got it off, and then he grabbed it, and then pulled it away.
There was a little thing that I saw where it's like, why didn't Doctor Strange just like teleport his arm and like just chop his arm off?
That's true, yeah.
That would have been so much quicker.
That's so true. Doctor Strange was giving him a run for his money at one point. You remember that? Where they're like, he's like shoots power at him, and then he like does that crazy glass thing, and then
that's true.
he turns into like tons of fucking, and then like that ended in like 2 seconds. When
it was cool looking.
Yeah,
he goes all Mr. Smith on him.
Yeah, it's like tons of arms and shit. I was like, okay, Doctor Strange is actually whooping his ass right now, and then of course Thanos uses the gauntlet.
Didn't work too well.
I guess Thor and probably Doctor Strange are probably two of the most powerful Avengers in this universe.
In this movie, at least.
Yeah.
At least in this movie. We've seen stronger feats on different characters in different movies, but that just is what it is. Like the part where Iron Man was fighting Thanos, and that was right before, it was like the scene where he was fighting him, and he like locked something on his foot or whatever, and he like fucking punched him, and then Thanos hit him back and he tore the thing off his gauntlet. And
I
all
was
that
super
shit.
confused at the beginning of this movie the first time watching it, like when Potts, what's her name?
Pepper
Potts, was like referring to
How he didn't need it anymore because he got the
didn't need it
surgery.
his
anymore,
chest
yeah.
thing. Like, I had no idea what she was talking about at first, because I thought she was just talking about, it's like, oh, you don't need this thing that's literally keeping you alive.
Yeah, and then you
Anymore,
Hear,
I'm like,
and then you hear
what?
he's like, yeah, I got the surgery, but this is just in case there's a monster in the closet. That's what he said.
Yeah,
was
that was a little odd just to throw in there. I'm guessing that's probably more comic book stuff that
Probably.
that probably just got shoved in there like they do in every comic book movie where they take a big story and just shove in
yeah,
a little thing
fucking-
and
that's
like
true.
so. I'm guessing that's what that
Yeah.
was, and
It
seemed a
made more
little
sense
odd,
the second
for
time
sure.
I was watching it. Like, I could follow along with the
Okay.
dialogue, but
But yeah,
it was a little disorienting at first.
Yeah, I liked all the characters definitely in this movie. I thought they shined a lot, except for, of course, the Hulk, but
yeah.
that's because he didn't even show anything.
Mhm.
I thought the Black Panther. I thought the scene of them running, all of Yukon and everything running at the aliens or whatever. That was cool as shit.
Yeah,
That was a cool scene.
but
And
yeah.
then when Thor came in and fucking killed everyone.
All in all, this movie was exactly the same as Justice League, except it was way better because Justice League was garbage.
I haven't seen Justice League yet.
You haven't seen Justice League? Well, you don't need to. It's just literally, you know how Thanos is going around collecting stones? Well, dumbass looks like a video game character from the 90s. Steppenwolf or whatever is trying to collect cubes.
Yeah.
And he
All three
collects
of
the
them.
cubes, and then they just beat his ass. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is
But
a
in this
waste of
movie,
time.
they don't beat Thanos' ass,
Yeah,
and
so-
he actually wins.
Well, and that's just them rushing
Oh, yeah.
that.
Justice League was
Justice
so
League
bad.
could have been so good. Could have been so good if they just
Yeah.
actually tried.
Pretty much what like
But they
MCU
don't,
was
never.
like, you want to do a storyline like that? Well, this is how you do it. Bye. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
That's almost like just the history of MCU and DC right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally,
Which
I felt like
makes me sad.
Like overall, I feel like the movie was pretty good. I think that to me it was just like another, I don't know, aside from Thanos being a great villain and being like a pretty big part of this, I think, and you can argue this, but I think taking Thanos out of the movie and if it was just kind of them like fighting a villain, I honestly don't think. I think this movie is just pretty generic, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
in my personal opinion,
I
I
would
think
agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty generic movie if they were just fighting just another villain. But because Thanos was so good, it makes
Yeah.
the movie for a lot of
Yeah.
people. And I think that's for me. I loved Thanos, and I think he was a great villain. But I think overall the movie was just pretty generic to me. That's why I wouldn't give it like a super high rating thing.
The thing which like people are just like, ooh, they're so ballsy with this one. How they would have really made this ballsy is if they actually did the real reason for Thanos wanting to wipe out half the universe, which like is his reasoning like in the movie, plus him in the comic books he falls in love with Lady Death, which is
Yeah,
death
that happens,
itself.
yeah.
Yeah, so it like.
But he falls in love with
That would be cool
her,
to see. I think
and
we'll see
then
that next
she
movie, definitely.
rejects him, and then at that point he feels obligated to prove himself, and therefore,
Maybe
since
that-
he's trying to prove himself to death, he needs to keep killing people.
Maybe the story of like him wanting to just wipe out half the universe because of the resources was just a cover up. And then
Yeah.
maybe you'll see in the
If
next
that
movie.
comes out in the next one, awesome, I love
Yeah.
it. But I do think that it won't, honestly, because I just think it's a little too out there, a little too weird.
I don't know. They're
I don't
going
know- I
really
don't know
out
if
there
that
with
would-
these movies.
if
Like
that
this
would do
movie
well,
was
like, on the
way
big
more out
screen.
there.
It
than
was
you
way
would
more out
see.
there,
Well,
but
well,
I don't
I-
think that they're
and
willing
they're
to
just
go
progressively-
that much out there.
I think
I
if
don't know.
they were
Because it's
going
Disney.
to, they would have done it in this movie because this movie
Exactly.
was Thanos' movie. Like this was his backstory and his. That's what this movie was. It
Though
was
I
like
do
you're getting his
think we're going to
backstory,
get a
but-
little bit more backstory in the next one. I actually think I heard some things where we're going to get a little bit more. If that involves Lady Death, then awesome. However, I think because of how broad Lady Death is and how much that impacted him, I think you need a lot more coverage. And I don't think they have enough time.
No, I don't think so. I think the next movie needs to be more of an Avengers movie than a Thanos movie. But I was fine with a Thanos movie. Like you build up his character,
but then that is another thing which also would maybe not work out so well with how they're doing it because it would get a little bit confusing because Death rejects him. Death does not accept him. Therefore, he cannot die. When he dies, he just gets rejected and comes back to life. So the Avengers literally cannot kill him.
Which would be
Who's
a
all left
never
right
ending
now?
series.
Is it just all the original Avengers?
It is it's
Rocket Raccoon. It's
Iron
Man,
Well,
Nebula.
it's the
Nebula,
original Avengers with like a
Thor.
couple more
Thor's
yeah,
left.
ones, but
Thor's left. The
Hulk
Hulk's
is left.
You've got freaking what?
Captain America.
Captain America, of course, and then you've
Bucky
got
disappeared. So,
yeah, unfortunately.
did
Iron
Falcon
Patriot,
disappear?
Widow-
Falcon
Widow-
did.
yeah, okay, but War
Patriot.
Machine is still good.
Or
Or did War Machine
No,
disappear?
no, War Machine's there.
is War
War
Machine
Machine's
Iron
okay.
Patriot?
Not exactly.
Technically,
Well, it kind of at one
kinda.
point.
All right, either way, War
Yeah.
Machine.
Yeah.
Did Scarlett Johansson disappear?
Yeah, no, she came running at the very end of the movie.
Okay, so she's
Yeah.
good.
yeah, Scarlet Witch died.
Scarlet Witch died.
Well,
Disappeared.
this is the easier way to do this. On Titan, the only two survivors that actually survived were Tony Stark and Nebula, and then on Earth in Wakanda, the only people that survived were
Michonne from Walking Dead.
yes, and then you've got the Rocket Raccoon, then you've got Captain America, then you've got Black Widow, then you have Hulk in the Hulkbuster armor, which didn't really work out very well, and then you get that Iron Patriot or War Machine, whatever the fuck. I'm pretty sure they're the same. I'm not 100% sure.
I think they're technically the same.
Yeah, and then you've got I mean, technically you still have Hawkeye, but I mean,
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, we don't know about
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
For all we know,
about
both of them
Hawkeye.
disappeared. They didn't
that's
even-
true. Hawkeye
They
should have
just like, oh,
disappeared.
they accepted
Yeah.
a deal for health arrest, and it's like, okay, as long as they both come in for the next one, that's
Yeah.
fine.
And then they hinted
And then of course
at...
you have Captain Marvel and
Yeah, they hinted at
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
other
Yeah.
ones that could possibly be in the universe.
Jackson to be like motherfucker and disappear. So
Yep.
that was kind of funny.
That was our review of Avengers Infinity War. I would rate it a 9.5. I think Brandon rated it an 8.8, and then you're about
7.8 for Levi.
7.8 for Levi, and then Barrett
8.
an 8,
It was
about an
8.
8. So yeah, we were pretty. It was kind of all over, but in the above average range, definitely. I really enjoyed this movie, and we all, I think, in general,
think
kind of enjoyed it.
Averagely, that comes to like 8.5, right?
Yeah, I would say if we were having like a
If we
culmination
combined
of
our
it,
scores,
yeah, I
8.5.
think it would be a solid 8.5 if it was like all of our scores. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Just hit the bell icon below to see notifications on our next videos, and subscribe. Make sure to like and leave a comment down below on any theories, like what will happen in the next movie. What do you think happened with the Hulk? Like, why was he wussing out and all that? And any theories that you guys possibly might have. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. So today we're going to be reviewing Avengers Infinity War. What would it like to have the Infinity Gauntlet? How about you explain, Brandon?
Well, I think I would just.
Let me cut you off there. The Infinity Gauntlet has 5, actually no, 6 stones. Count them.
Well, don't
6
you think
on the
you would
hand.
just use the reality
Notice how
stone
Thanos
to
has it
make
on his left
Lisa
hand.
Ann suck you off, and then the Power Stone to just jack you
Let me
off?
cut you
so
off
it
right there,
feels
Brandon.
like
Let me
it?
cut you off right there.
And then use the time lapse so it's just you're just orgasming infinitely.
orgasming.
Yeah.
That has to be the wrong
You
word.
can
It has
tell
to
that
be.
I've never done it before.
Wait, those are 3. What are the? It's the soul and the
the soul, reality, time,
How do you know them?
power,
How do you know that?
space, and
space. Is
Because-
it stone?
yeah, the blue stone is space from the Tesseract.
What does it
Maybe I should-
actually
The Power
do?
Stone
You
was
can
from
teleport and shit.
Guardians of the Galaxy Part
So you
1, where
can
they took the Power
teleport Lisa
Stone
Ann
to
there.
that city.
And then what
And
do you do with the
then-
soul
Get out of
stone?
the
What does
water.
the
The Soul Stone is the final stone. That stone is has to do with like manipulating dead and like matter and things like that, like things that would be trapped inside of a different dimension called the souls, which is
do?
basically
How can you use that to jack off?
you can't. It's a very strong metal over your penis. You cannot use it. You will literally rip your skin off, and hopefully you don't make a fist during it because it's a giant gauntlet. So if you made a fist over it, you can do whatever you want, baby. Actually, now that I think about it. Because with the gauntlet, he could literally do anything he wanted with the close of a fist.
And then you snap and half your dick's gone.
Only half.